Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill Sunday morning. And as Michigan fans ourselves, got to talk about it, right? And the most frustrating part about the performance on the offensive side of the football is felt like you're just scared in this football game. It felt like we were back in 2024. Dill, I'd be feeling a lot better sitting here Sunday morning if we lost that game, but we went out there and died on our sword. And you asked Bryce Underwood to make some plays, and he made some freshman mistakes, and that's why you lost. We're sitting here Sunday morning saying, one of the biggest reasons Michigan lost that football game is it felt like they were just scared on the offensive side of the football. There was one team that was hunting in that game, and there was one team that was being hunted. And I'll tell you this, Michigan was not the team that was going out there and hunting specifically on the offensive side of the football. That's what's most frustrating. I wish we had the opportunity to learn more about Bryce, to learn more about the difference makers on the outside, and we just didn't get that opportunity. Want to talk about what went wrong? How does it get better moving forward? Because we all know Bryce is a very talented quarterback. It will get better. How's it going to happen, and how quickly is it going to happen? That's the question we got to talk about. Before we get into it, as always, the Michigan fans appreciate you guys. And again, Michigan fans ourselves has been very fun talking this team, and the amount of support the Michigan fans have shown the boys has been amazing. Would love to hear how you guys are feeling in the comment section. This is a little bit just of a fan episode. I'm coming at this one from a fan right now. I'm sure you are too. I would love to hear how the other Michigan fans be feeling in the comment section as well. Let it fly. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, let's start with this Michigan offense. Biggest takeaways, biggest frustrations. Let's hear it.
And you said it. It just felt like they were scared to cut it loose, and especially in that first half. Because frankly, by the time the second half rolled around, like Brent Venables was coming, and they were
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really aggressive. They were pretty much blitzing every play, running some cover zeros, and that Michigan had some plays to hit, if you will, and you
Sure.
probably would like to see them hit those in the future as Bryce Underwood develops. But in the first half, I felt like the offensive line was playing pretty decent. Like they
Can
were
we
getting
talk
the
about
run
that real
game.
quick? Not to interrupt you, but I do think that's a very important conversation. Look, watching that game last night, it felt like Michigan's offensive line was just getting their lunch taken, right? Going back and sitting down and watching it Sunday morning, I ain't going to get up here and say Michigan's offensive line dominated because that'd just be a bold-faced lie. I don't think the offensive line was a liability in this football game. Is that a fair critique to make? Dill,
No,
when
I
you're
thought
running,
so because I thought in the first half, like they were establishing the run a little bit. They were getting some things going. You had those moments where you hit a couple of big plays. Again, that one rollout to Smosh and the
here's
flat, you hit the Donovan McCulley one, and then I felt like Michigan had a bit of an opportunity to go on the attack a little bit, and
they
it
did.
felt like you shelled up into like last year's offense where you
Yeah.
went run, screen, and that was the frustrating part. Like at some point against a really good team, you're going to need to try to cut it loose, get the ball down the field a little bit, and at least make them respect what you're going to try to do. Again, you bring in Bryce Underwood to do it, and it just felt like Michigan was too afraid to make a mistake to
Yeah.
cut it loose in that fashion.
Here's the thing. When you're trying to run the football into a 7-8 man box against any team, it's going to be hard. This is an Oklahoma front seven that I believe is going to be one of the better front sevens that we see in the country. You can't do that. If they're going to show you those kind of looks where they're just mugging the line of scrimmage, you have to have the ability to go beat them vertically down the field. The frustrating part is I just didn't think we tried enough to do that. Heck, one of the times we did try to do that, throw it up to Donovan McCulley, makes a phenomenal play. Why isn't Donovan McCulley getting more of those kind of opportunities to leave his fingerprint on the game? It's there's not an offensive line in the country that will be able to establish the run against a 7-8 man Oklahoma box. It's just not a thing. You have to have the ability to back them off by working vertically down the field. Then maybe you can get back to the run game. That's probably the worst part. I felt like we left the training wheels on for a quarterback that I think doesn't look. I know he's a freshman and he's going to go through some growing pains. You did not bring him in to leave the training wheels on this kid. and it felt like we left the training wheels on offense.
Especially when it felt like he had a little bit of momentum and you could have built
Yeah,
on some of those early successes that Michigan was having.
and
Like,
Dill, where were
that's
those
when you gotta
successes?
try to get after it a little bit, I
Where
feel.
were those successes? Getting him out of the
Early in that
pocket.
game,
Getting him
again,
out of
I'll
the
go
pocket.
back to it. Like, you had a couple of plays that I feel like you get a little bit of momentum. You're kind of getting into Oklahoma's territory. You got to
Well,
kind of
but do
try
you see
something
where I'm
off.
coming from here? Like, when we got Bryce out of the pocket, felt like he was a lot more comfortable. Got to use his athleticism a little bit. Got to put a little bit more pressure on the defense. When we had chunk plays in the first half, we were moving the pocket with Bryce, and it felt like we just didn't do that much in the second. Like when
Well,
we
and
had
it
things that
can't,
were,
not everything can be moving the pocket. Like, I don't love
I
that take.
agree.
I feel like some people will be like, "Oh, why didn't we just roll out every time?" But I didn't feel like we got to enough diversity in the offense, frankly, at times. Because, like, again, like there were things that worked early in that football game, and then it just felt like everything got back into a shell. Like, you got to just keep kind of pushing, keep your foot on the
Yeah,
pedal a little bit.
talk about getting into a shell, and I don't like these kind of episodes. 'Cause I feel like you're just sitting here like Monday morning quarterbacking it, but we went for it one time on fourth down. Like when you have the opportunity, especially when you're down 2 scores, there was a play in the second half. It was 3rd and 6. We were inside their 30. They gave us like a 7-8 man box. Look, we ran the football right into it and actually blocked it up pretty well. I think got it to 4th and 2, gained 4 yards on that play. Why are you running that play if you're not going to go for it when you get it to 4th and 2? Right? I mean, when you had opportunity to score touchdowns, you have to score touchdowns, especially in this kind of game where you knew it wasn't just going to be up and down the field. Didn't. It just didn't feel like you wanted to try to go make the plays to win this game.
Well, because
Dill, how,
that's like what 2024 style was. Like, don't ruin this for your defense. Let
yeah,
them try to win it. And
yeah.
again, like the defense, I don't like they played well at the end of the day. Like they were putting back. Like Michigan
You
did
want to
have
talk about the
trouble kind of
defense?
sustaining. Um,
Can we one more thing on offense before we do switch? How do you think it gets better? Like, one positive takeaway, man. Justice Haynes is going to be really, really good for this offense. Marlon Klein coming back when he's healthy is going to be really good. He might be Michigan's best pass catcher, right? So you didn't really have maybe your best pass catcher in this football game. Not only as a pass catcher, but what Marlon Klein does in the run game too. He's an absolute hammer by far outside of Bredesen, by far the best inline tight end run blocker that's on this football team. You get
I
Marlon
think
Klein
that's a
back.
good point because it does allow you to get a better personnel group for what Michigan's trying to do
Yeah.
because you have that complete tight end. Like Zach Marshall, I thought was running some good routes. He was getting himself open at times. I just don't know that you trust him the way you trust
Yeah.
Marlon Klein to be that guy moving guys around. So I just look at in terms of what Michigan wants to run, you need that type of complete tight end. So Marlon Klein, yeah, getting him back and healthy, hopefully as the Big Ten season starts to kick off, that'll be a big one because he's also clearly like Bryce's guy to an extent
Yeah,
as well.
and he might be outside of maybe Justice Haynes at running back. He's the best playmaker on this offense. I don't think that's unfair to say here in the 2 game sample size that we have. How does it get better? I got 2 things, and again, like, I'm far from an offensive coordinator here. Gotta figure out a better quick game. I feel like our quick game was like swing passes and screens, especially when you're playing an Oklahoma defense that has the ability to fly around the field like Oklahoma does. I like some of those spot concepts that we had against New Mexico, where like the ball is out quick and you're building a little bit of a rhythm, throwing so much behind the line of scrimmage against an Oklahoma defense that's flying around. We got off to some bad starts on first downs because we took some negative plays. Didn't love that. Got to figure out a better answer to the quick game. And if
Because
you do that,
honestly, I thought Oklahoma, like the way they were running their quick game on the other side
it
of the
was
ball, I
awesome.
thought they were running it really effectively.
Agreed.
Like they were using a really aggressive defense. They were finding some holes in zones and windows there and making some things happen. Again, they weren't like 20 yards down the field, but they were keeping that Oklahoma team on schedule far better. And obviously, Michigan was able to do it.
Yeah, and I think there's an element of having to get Bryce involved in these kind of games as an athlete, right? And we kind of knew that was going to be the case, and Oklahoma did have a decent plan to deal with Bryce Underwood, especially if you want to really establish the run against some of the best teams in the country that are going to be putting some bodies in the box. But Bryce has to be utilized as a runner of the football in these kind of games. I'm not saying you're going to go run him against New Mexico. You didn't need to run him against New Mexico, but in these kind of games, his athleticism needs to be used, especially in the rushing attack. All right, defensive side of the football. Honestly, 9 of 17 is the thing that stands out to me, right? 9 of 17 on third downs. Oklahoma was over 50% converting. That's it's not good enough, right? And you have to give a tip of the cap to John Mateer. Like he is an he knew he needed to be good in this football game to win. I thought he was exceptional outside of the one interception. The biggest frustrating part about Michigan on defense was we weren't sure about that Oklahoma offensive line. They were starting a true freshman at left tackle. We got multiple guys who are going to be selected in the NFL draft in the next couple of months. Thought we could have done a better job getting pressure with our front four. Didn't really happen in the first half. And then Wink Martindale was kind of put in a situation where, hey, we got to go change the game with this defense, right? So we started running a lot of blitzes, which absolutely worked. I mean, Oklahoma could not deal with that pressure off the right side of the offensive line, right? And so you had some opportunities to create some negative plays and get John Mateer down to the ground. You didn't. And when you don't do that against the quarterback like John Mateer, he gonna make you pay, and he made us pay. Dill, one of the things I really did appreciate from Michigan's defense, though, I thought the secondary, especially when they were asked to play some man coverage in the second half when we were running some blitzes, thought they were relatively sticky, which I think's a nice thing to learn. And here's the other thing, and I want to get your take. Sorry, I'm talking a long time. Cole Sullivan. Like we
He's
got
got
it.
to be on the field more. He's
Every
so
time
good.
he's on the field, he seems like he's making plays, right? And this is not me getting up here and saying like Ernest Hausman needs to be on the bench or Jay Sean Barham needs to be on the bench we got a bunch of good linebackers. All I'm saying is whenever Cole Sullivan is on the football field, things seem to go really well. I would like to see him get some more opportunities to impact this football, impact the game for Michigan on the defense side of the football.
Because you talk about like generating negative plays. I mean, his athleticism, his ability to blitz, his ability to get in the field against or get into the backfield against run schemes. He is a really good linebacker. I'm kind of with you. It just feels like he has a really good sense of how to create things from the defensive side. And I think look, Michigan's still probably going to need a bit of that on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Like it won't be a team that's going to win from the offense side of the field. Like
Ooh,
you need your defense to make
So
plays.
I
Big,
think
big
that's
time.
probably premature to say that, but I do think this does need to be a playmaking defense. I'm look, as much as I was just really critical of this Michigan offense for 10 minutes, are we really going to say like, oh yeah, Michigan's offense is toast because freshman
No,
quarterback
I'm
couldn't go
not
on the
saying
road against?
toast, but like I think if this team's going to be really good, the defense needs to make plays. I don't think that's like an unfair statement to make.
I think that's probably a fair statement to make. Yeah. And then the last thing, the hard counts. Holy smokes! I mean, you got once, I get it, and then you got 2, 3 more times on big plays. That can't happen. Figure that out. All right, we'll close it out. Frustrating. Again, the most frustrating part is I feel like I didn't get to learn much about this offense because I feel like we just didn't really we didn't really try to go out and win. And I hope that changes. And Dill, if Michigan's going to lose games going forward, make sure you're losing it going out trying to win games is probably my biggest takeaway that I'll have to close out. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.